Welcome back, guys. I'm Vulkan, and today we're talking about one of the biggest patches to be coming to last Epoch, right? So this is a game that a lot of action RPG fans have been waiting on for a very long time. It's been in development for forever. I started covering it 4 years ago when I started my YouTube channel, and it has really come a very long way. I'm honestly really surprised at just how great this game looks these days. But one core feature that's been missing has been multiplayer. And this has been something that a lot of people that I've talked to, they say that this is the big thing kind of keeping them from playing it is, hey, when it gets multiplayer, I'm in. I'm jumping in. I'm, head first. Let's go. Let's get this stuff knocked out. But up until that point, I'm not going to touch it because I don't want to get burnt out, and various other excuses and reasons. So with the June development update blog, they're talking about patch 0.9.0. And this is a big patch because this one is actually introducing the multiplayer beta. So we will be able to finally partner up with other players and run content together, which I'm very excited for. So what we're going to do is kind of go through this development update. We're going to talk about a lot of the big key features. Now, there's a lot of stuff packed in here. It's a great read. If you are interested in Last Epoch, I highly recommend going and checking it out. I put the link in the description below for you. But what I'm going to be focusing on today are the big ticket items, the things that are going to affect your gameplay experience. So you'll see me skipping some areas. So let's go ahead and let's get this thing started. So at the beginning, they talk about how great things are going for multiplayer. They even provided a GIF down here to show us, hey, check this thing out. We got a 3-player party. We're going through, we're slaying together. Everything is great. It's running smooth, and we're very proud of it, which honestly they should be. I mean, up until this point, this was a pet project, right, for a few folks, and they've really kind of leaned and transitioned into a full-blown action RPG experience. So they're talking about here multiplayer testing has been going so well that they decided to add it into the next update with the multiplayer beta. Now they reiterate multiple times that this is a beta. So there's going to be things that don't work right. There's going to be rough patches. So don't expect a 100% flawless, polished experience right from the get. But honestly, at this point in time, I think opening this up and having players get in there and provide them with loads of feedback is going to be the next best thing. So they're calling this a beta, like we said, because they have all of the existing systems and the content fully playable online, but they're not done tailoring the entire experience to be ready for the full launch quite yet. So there's still a lot of outstanding stuff, but for now, you'll be able to jump in, run monoliths, do all of that stuff with other players. So let's go ahead and scroll back down, and we can see exactly how that monolith process looks. So here we have a 2-player party. They chose a monolith or an echo for monoliths, and they decided to, kind of queue up and get this thing going. So you can see the loading screen here, and then it sends them into the map. So kind of how that process is going to work and what you can expect. So let's talk multiplayer. So I'm going to skip this part because this is kind of the back end type of stuff. But then down here, they just kind of reiterate that this will be the multiplayer beta. They're going to be bringing existing features and content online, but there will be more features and changes that we haven't discussed much lately, but are aspects we consider fundamental. For example, they have missing masteries that they believe will truly help make the game feel more complete. I'm talking about that Rune Master, and I'm talking about that Falconer. Rune Master is one that I've been waiting for forever. That one I'm very excited to finally get my hands on whenever they feel like the time is right. I am here, I am waiting, and I am literally just can't wait. So, but beyond that, they do want to address some gameplay and balance, and they want it to be in the best possible state for 1.0 because they're expecting a lot of players, and rightfully so. Last Epoch has been on a lot of people's maps. I mean, you have Zizaran, you have Ziggy D, you have Llama, you have all of these people that are very excited for this game, but they're not diving in because it's not released yet. So once 1.0 comes around, you're going to have a lot of people that have been waiting to jump in. And then you're going to have these big content creators, they're going to jump in, and then their communities will see this new game and they're going to jump in. So it's going to create this big kind of chain reaction. And hopefully it goes great and it goes very smoothly. I know, we've been kind of planning for this for a while, and I think that they'll have enough server capacity, they'll have enough of kind of the back end stuff taken care of to make sure that's a smooth experience. So let's go ahead and let's go down here. We're going to skip these two parts because that doesn't really matter too much. But what they're going to be doing is they're getting a multiplayer alpha going right now, and they have a few goals in mind. They want to have a 24/7 online Last Epoch experience. Up until this point, if I remember correctly, they were just testing during certain windows. Like, hey, this Tuesday, we're going to go for 6 hours and we're going to do some testing. That way they can kind of concentrate all of the testers together, get them into parties, and be able to kind of pull feedback. So I'm not a tester, but that's the way we've done things in the past in terms of other projects. So I'm assuming it'll probably be the same here. But they want to kind of have the whole online experience thing working really well. They're going to limit downtime to being under 3 hours while still having regular updates, be able to learn some different management techniques, and be able to maintain a large CCU. So they are going to be expanding the community testing program. So if you're someone who's been very involved in the community, if you're someone who's very passionate about this game, then they're going to reveal some more information about this later on. But it could be something that you might want to toss your name in the hat for. So we have some ongoing efforts. Now, this is probably the second biggest thing. So if multiplayer is the biggest thing for this patch, optimization is the second largest thing. And the reason I say that is because every time I post a Last Epoch video, I will have lots of comments and they all talk about optimization, how they can't run the game, or how they have just an absolute unit, just a rig, and it will not run Last Epoch smoothly. And they're, every other game runs great. For some reason, this game doesn't run great. So uninstalled, refunded, I'm not playing it until they get the optimization thing figured out. So this has been just a recurring theme. I remember, like I said, 4 years ago when I first started covering this game, optimization was still a big topic, and it's continuing to be one. So here they talk about how there were some huge performance increases across the board because they went through and they did a whole complete level pass of optimization. So all of the levels have been reviewed and optimized. There was a huge performance increase across the board. The background frames per second should be more leveled now, with less areas that perform significantly lower than others. So here they give a nice kind of heat map of the draw calls. Now, I was curious what a draw call is, but they go through and they kind of give a definition here. It's the amount of objects that are visible at one time. So they went through every zone and they had its draw calls manually fixed. They combined certain objects and they made scenes more uniform, and they were able to get fewer FPS drops. The result is that the area looks the same, but is considerably less costly on the CPU side. And because of this, some slower areas in the game have seen an increase of up to 40 frames per second. And I'll say 100%, there have been areas where I zone in and it is an issue. Like, you get in there and it is just, I see my FPS just tank. So I'm very glad they did this. So if you're someone who had optimization issues, now might be a good time to jump back in. They also optimized the dragon attacks here, for example, and they were able to change the shaders of the particle effects. It resulted in an FPS increase from 50 to 90 during his attacks. So combat feel was another big thing that people talked about. This was something that, if optimization was the first thing that I saw and multiplayer is the second thing, the third thing is the game just feels not great. I'm not going to say bad, but it just feels like there's something missing, right? Combat doesn't feel great. So they've gotten that feedback and they decided to go through and they added some new enemies, they added some newer models, they added some new animations, and as well as death animations. So one of the new enemies they added was the Void Penance. You can see this dude with a bunch of arms on his back. He looks real intimidating. And you can see the new death animation down here for the Void Penance. And I have to say, this is much, much better than just seeing him kind of like flop over and then slowly dissolve or evaporate. I love the brutality here. I love the kind of the graphic nature of it. It really fits well with this whole kind of theme they're going for. So I hope that we see unique death animations for each faction and subtype within the game. So not every enemy has to die in a unique fashion, but the different factions and subtypes, I think, should have their own. Now we also get a look at the new Void Fused Earth. So there are these enemies in the game right now. They're melee oriented. They kind of have this volley attack that they do, and they look old. They do. They look very old compared to everything else. So here's their new model, and here's their new attack. They're very close range and long range oriented now, making them even more deadly. So we also got to look at some new equipment models, so we can see the Mage here and the Primalist. Now, these are both the second highest tier of armor for these classes. Absolutely love the Mage. The Primalist has a real kind of crazy shaman look. Love that one as well. But these are just, they've come such a long way from just the rounded kind of metallic appearance that they had when they very first launched. We have some other concept art for the Torch of the Pontifex, the Battle Mage's Endeavor, the Last Laugh, which everybody really likes, and Hakar's Phoenix. At the very end, this is probably the most staggering example that I have, and that is the summons. So they went through and they put together a bunch of new art, new models for summons to make them look even better. Look at this thing. I mean, this is the Forge Guard's Manifest Armor summon. The one on the left, that's rough. That's like Titan Quest OG rough. But the one on the right is looking great. Absolute, like they say here, absolute glow up, looking fantastic. Love the new paint job. Here's the actual model that we'll see in game. And I gotta say, I have a Forge Guard and I might just flip over and try to do a Manifest Armor build because this is looking fantastic. So last thing we'll talk about here is, I'm not going to go into it too deep, but this is the first community designed unique. People put this together. It was a big thing that ran for a few weeks, and this is ultimately what they ended up with. The Lament of the Lost Refuge. So it's a spear. It's a unique Rat City Impaler. Volcanic Orb is going to be converted to Void. You're going to gain Corrupted Heraldry when you cast Volcanic Orb. You have other chances to gain Corrupted Heraldry. And then you gain +4 spell void damage per stack of Corrupted Heraldry. And then all of those stacks are lost when you use a movement skill. So there's a bunch of really cool stuff here, and I think this is going to be a very interesting one to see how people build around. But I love this. I love the community events, and hopefully we'll see more of these in the future. So down here in closing, basically they just give a huge thank you to the community. They're very proud of the work they've done so far. And they also ask if you're looking for a job, they're actually hiring at 11th Hour Games now. So guys, so far, you know, this game has been one that's been a staple on my channel for a very long time. I check in on it periodically. I log in and play probably once a month because it's just a game that I really enjoy. I love what they're doing. I feel like it's a good combination of, you know, build complexity and build variety, but it also has that kind of modern feel, so you don't feel like you're so stuck in the past. So overall, last Epoch, really looking forward to it, but we're finally getting multiplayer, and I think that is the biggest thing. And like I said, the optimization thing, if you're somebody who couldn't run the game before or had difficulty, now might be a nice time to jump back in when 0.9 hits. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope this was useful and helpful for kind of catching up on last Epoch as well as the multiplayer status. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Vulkan, and I will talk to you next time.